Welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom Carroll, president of Cape May MAC, and I'm going to go into another major chapter of the history of MAC. When we acquired the Physick Estate, we knew we had to raise money in every way possible to do a restoration of the building. So we looked for the most economical things that we could do, such as walking tours of Cape May and showing off our fabulous collection of over 600 Victorian buildings as a very easy way to get people interested in the history of the town as well as the history of the Emlen Physick Estate. Now, finding out the history was actually a pretty interesting challenge. There was very few written things on the history of Cape May. The studies done by the Historic American Building Survey were only just underway. So Vancing, one of our great volunteers at MAC, and I decided to interview the oldest citizens we could find in Cape May and try to get the history of buildings, the events that happened there, fun characters of Cape May, any famous people. The interesting thing was, though, that everybody we interviewed had a different memory than the person that we interviewed before. So we kind of came up with this rule that if two people said something the same, that was likely to be history. But in presenting it, we were always very careful to say that, this is assumed to be the history of Cape May and no written guarantees on it. So that first picture you see with me pointing at architectural details was one of those early walking tours. You'll notice my hair is a little grayer. My waist is probably a little wider than it was back then. But I love doing those tours because there was very little traffic on the streets, particularly in the fall and spring. And it was a great way to walk people through, show them all the different architectural styles, and take their questions. It was a wonderful start. Now, the second picture you see is Bruce Minich, our mayor of Cape May, one of the presidents of Mid-Atlantic Center. He was by far our most popular tour guide. He had charisma, character, height, humor, and everybody loved his tours. He actually had the job of directing actors in New York, but he certainly was an actor himself. So Bruce did a wonderful job with those. Vancing and many others joined in with giving the tours of Cape May. We moved on also to trolley tours. When MAC was established, we bought the assets of the Victorian Village Development Corporation for $2,400, which included a mixture of Victorian furniture, kind of a start for the house, as well as a beat-up old trolley that we refurbished and came up with a very beginning trolley that you'll see here in this picture. And also a picture of it trying to look a little bit more like a locomotive. Now, I don't think this trolley would have passed any of the inspections that we now have today. 3 years within it, we did have to get a new tractor to pull the trolley around. And this was the beginning of trolley tours and a very profitable adventure. So profitable that we've now moved up to a fleet of 5 trolleys, even with open air access for the summer, heating and air conditioning in the winter, ADA accessible, and plenty of room for drivers and guides, and upwards to 30 passengers. And these trolley tours have just been wonderful because we can range not just within walking distance of the downtown, but even like one of our newest tours, the Underground Railroad Tour, takes us to many different sites in Cape May, including out the lighthouse, one of the first things some of these people saw as they approached New Jersey, into the Baths Lane cottages where they get to go indoors. And it's about a 2-hour tour, which we hope to have going again pretty soon and continue that. Now, we have done many, many types of tours. Obviously, the tours of the Physick Estate itself is a mainstay of all that we do. And as the years went along, we changed from just a standard tour to specialized tours. We had characters that became the Physick family that stayed in character, from Dr. Physick's mom and his aunt to Dr. Physick. We've had people play the roles of the servants in the house. We've examined the servants' quarters as compared to the bedrooms, the people that live there. And a great way to really talk about how people lived and enjoyed the house, and how the work people also took care of all their needs while they were in the house. We have explored many, many ways of giving tours. And some of the things that we've gotten into are really rather interesting. For quite a few years, we had a relationship with Bill Saponaro, who came up with the idea of designer show houses. And the first picture that I'm showing you shows one of the biggest projects that we took on, the renovation of the church on Lafayette Street into 3 condominiums. Bill liked big projects, and we kind of took care of getting the decorators together to finish off all the different units. One of the biggest challenges, though, was dealing with all the different decorators trying to work in their tight quarters within one of these show houses. I was sort of in charge of relations among them, and they could be rather critical of other decorators' work while praising their own. There was a lot of competition in that to see who could come up with the most beautiful rooms. One of the more amazing things that we took on many years back, Bonnie Reyna on Madison Avenue was famous for all of her Christmas decorations, and she asked if we could have a special tour of her house as a moneymaker for MAC at Christmas time. A great success, and it grew into what we now call the Candlelight Christmas Tours of Cape May, 3 consecutive Saturdays that draw audiences from 1,000 to 2,000 people on Saturday nights. We usually have maybe 20 different properties open, all beautifully decorated, and it's really one of the biggest hits. Now, with all these tours we do, we really couldn't operate these tours, sell the tickets, attract the attention without the information booth on the Washington Street Mall. And here's a picture of it with our helper out front answering questions and people inside selling tickets with all the different tours and activities that we have. And as you can see, as you close in here a little bit, we have endless tours and activities that we are offering. The information booth is actually a Fairmont Park a guard station, and there was 2 of those in excess property in Philadelphia that one of the members of the cottagers was able to acquire and move to Cape May. One was given to the city as an information booth on the mall, and another one became the greeting house for the beach club in Cape May. I've often pointed out to Michael and now Jody that it would look a lot better if we didn't have all that signage on it, but I'm very quickly reminded that that signage and sewing is really the best thing that we do. Quite a few years ago, we approached the Coast Guard Reserve, who was looking for a community project, and asked them if they would be willing to scrape and repaint our information booth, which they took on as a project. But I can tell you, as a member of that unit, I ended up doing most of the work. But the picture shows my commanding officer, Commander Dave Pearl, making the final arrangements with Bruce Minich for the project. So this ends my tour, my lecture on tours and those kind of activities. Join me again next week, and I'm going to move on to the Cape May Music Festival.